Hey everybody, Rose Matter here. Welcome to part 21 of my Chaos Child Let's Play. It was a crazy episode last week. I wouldn't say the final confrontation, but it feels like things are coming to an end soon. You know, usually when you've got that big final fight, it is going pretty similarly, it seems like, to Chaos Head with, a confrontation with someone who has their own powers and being put into like a mind prison of sorts. So Takaru went to go confront Sarika, seemingly killing her in a fit of rage, and then being confronted by his father. They got into an epic battle, but Sakuma got to the upper hand and basically said to Takaru's like, "Oh, I'm going to be putting you in basically some sort of like mind prison for the next 30 days." Um, Very similar to Takumi when he was like in his head by the guy who was the head of the committee, um, basically being forced to be like tortured over and over and over again. So yeah, that's where we're at. So we'll see how he deals with that. Let's go ahead and continue on with the story. I heard a sound somewhere. It was the sound of something snapping. I didn't want to see anything anymore. I didn't want to hear anything anymore. I didn't want to feel anything. I closed off my heart, wishing for nothing more than that.
おいおい、そこで殻に閉じこもるなよ。罪の意識だけで立ち止まるお前なんざ、もう見飽きてんだ。
I heard a voice from somewhere speaking directly into my head, but I held my hands over my ears anyway. I didn't want to hear anything.
しょうがねえな。なら、立ち止まれないようにするしかねえか。ウッドバーンヘロンは知ってるか？じゃあ、また1ヶ月後にな。
Woodburn Heron.
楽しく壊れろよ。
I have no idea what that is. And then, just like a computer monitor being powered off, everything disappeared. What? What is this? It was dark. I couldn't see anything. I was in a huge, dark, empty space like nothing I'd ever experienced before. I couldn't even tell if my eyes were open or not. I tried blinking, but the darkness didn't change. I tried to rub my eyes to see if that helped. But my hands wouldn't move. No, not just my hands. Nothing moved. There was no sensation of standing. There was no feeling of weight in my body. Huh? Am I lying down? No, wait. Am I floating? It's almost like I'm in zero gravity or just floating in water with no resistance. Like my body's just drifting along. The only thing that existed was silence. I could hear the sound of my heartbeat echoing. But even in the overwhelming darkness, I felt a little better. Anything was better than seeing Nono die again and again. It didn't matter what. Compared to hearing Nono's last words over and over. I did nothing but float. It was like being almost asleep, but there was something stopping me from falling asleep altogether. It felt weird and unpleasant. I tried to at least do something about the floating, but there was nothing to grab onto. Nowhere to stand, and my body wouldn't move. I wanted to find something solid. I tried my best to find it. Suddenly, I realized, where am I? What am I doing here? No, no. This has to be more mind control. This darkness is just another hallucination. I tried to scream and wave my arms, but there was no sound and no movement. If I couldn't move, I wanted to at least feel something with one of my senses. It could be a bright light, screaming, even pain, an awful bitter taste, or even a horrible smell. If I didn't find something fast, I'd lose track of where I ended and where the darkness began. I know. What about my shoulder injury from when my dad knocked me into the seats? I desperately tried to feel the pain in my shoulder, but it didn't work. I couldn't feel anything, even whether or not it was bleeding. It felt like the darkness was gradually burying me, like ants swarming over a piece of candy. The boundary line between my own body and the rest of the world got even blurrier. No way. I finally remembered a certain piece of information. I remembered what my dad had said just before this happened. Woodburn Heron, wasn't it? I matched the name with what was going on. It was a famous experiment, if I remembered right. Heron's sensory deprivation experiment. He'd put subjects in a soundproofed room that was completely silent, blindfold them so they couldn't see, then tie them up with a straitjacket kept at exactly the same body temperature to take away their sense of touch. Oh my gosh, and he's going to be like this for a month? Except for eating simple meals and defecating, they were kept on a bed at all times. The purpose of his experiment was to find out how many days a human being could last in that state. The results had been far less than what he'd expected. The most any of them could endure was 2 to 3 days, and he said, "I'll see you next month." The worst ones would complain about disturbed thinking after only a few hours. They continued with the experiment anyway. They would start hearing and seeing things and almost go insane. A human being can't endure long periods of time with no stress or stimulation. The experiment was now banned because of how dangerous it was. And then I remembered something else, something terrifying. What did Dad say to me? "See you in a month." Is he going to make me spend a month like this? I screamed, but I couldn't even hear my own voice. The first change was to my sense of vision. It was after about 2 days had passed, from what I could tell. It would have been about dinner time. I wasn't sleepy or hungry. At some point, I'd start counting numbers. 1 second, 2 seconds. This is kind of not quite like Remy, but like when Remy was being tortured, this was kind of that same feeling where just the slow passage of time and just her slowly going insane. It was meaningless, but I felt like I'd go crazy if I didn't do something. When I just about passed 100,000 seconds, the darkness in front of me suddenly began to shine. What? Who's there? It wasn't a camera flash or a light bulb. It was just a blurry glow. That was all. I couldn't see anything else or even move. When I saw it, I lost track of my number and started over. A light came every 100,000 seconds. A day was 60 times 60 times 24, so 86,400 seconds. Perfect. I decided to round up and call each 100,000 seconds a day. When there was no light, I was bored. I wished so many times for something to happen. Someone, come here. Even Dad, I don't care. I'd rather be fighting a battle with D-swords than that I know I can't win. Actually, I'd rather be stabbed with a D-sword. I want to feel pain. I thought that when the light came for the 30th time I could escape, because that would mean a month had passed. A month was 30 days. But nothing happened. The light just kept coming at the same pace as before. And the light came again after 30 days had passed. I stopped counting how many times it had come. I stopped counting to 100,000 too. Haha. What's the point of counting anyway?
数えるのやめてしまうの
No? I heard that voice very clearly. I'd started hearing voices sometimes when I neared the 30th appearance of the light. Are you just going to die like this? What's Miyashita Park like? Hey, senpai, how'd you meet Gensan? Adios, gracias. Why did you leave me to die, you idiot? Are you just going to die here? The newspaper club's just getting started, right? Tell me, why didn't you save me? It hurt so much when I died. You ever heard of Woodburn Heron? The voices came and disappeared without listening to my responses. I at least wanted to see their faces. I was already starting to forget what everyone looked like. Maybe if I saw them again, I could stop the darkness from swallowing up all of my memories.
ここから出してあげる父さんのこと殺してきてあげる
Really?
言ってきたでもダメ私一人じゃ無理だった私たち手伝いましょうか
Really? They'll do that for me?
女子高生の力をなめるなよアディオスグラッシャー
Wait.
どうしたのタクル兄ちゃん
No,
まさか一人じゃ寂しいとか言うんじゃないでしょうね勘弁してよ
that's not true. Of course I'm not lonely. No, I wanted to tell you to be careful. Dad's power is... What was it again?
どうした佐久間はどこにいるんだよそれがわかんねえと殺しに行けねえだろ
さっさと言え時間の無駄だ
Huh? That's strange. He should be right there. There? Where is there?
タクルさんウッドバーンヘロンって知ってますか
Ha ha ha. Don't you know I'm a right-sider? Of course I know. He's the guy who came up with the theory that a day is 86,400 seconds. See? Amazing, right? I was slowly breaking and melting away. Suddenly, I felt something stabbing me somewhere. It was the pain I'd been wishing for, but I didn't care anymore. I was just tired of it.
殺してあげる。
No, please don't stab me.
なぜ？
I don't want to die,
どうして？
because it hurts.
痛みなんて感じてないじゃない。タクル、あなた、本当にそこにいるの？
Nono kept stabbing me like she was trying to find out where I was. When the sound finally stopped, I heard a wet, slopping noise. I could tell her hands were jammed inside my body, rummaging through my guts. I could imagine the blood, but Nono was right. I didn't feel any pain. That's strange. It hurt a moment ago. Nono? Let me see you. I'm sorry. You can kill me if you want.
なぜ？
Because I want to see you. I want to see anybody. I'm lonely. Nono? Nono. Why? Why did you leave? No, wait. Was that really Nono? Was that Nono's voice? Did she really talk like that? Wait a second. What was Nono's last name? The orphanage. I can't remember the place's name. There were 2 sisters there. What were their names? Or wait, was it a brother and sister? Everything started turning black. Who was the girl who always told me not to lie? Who was the one in the white lab coat? The one who didn't talk, the one who always seemed scared. Who was stabbing me a moment ago?
わからないの？ひどい先輩っすね。
Shut up. Shut up. Suddenly, the noises started to bother me. I didn't want to be criticized by these people when I didn't even know their names. Please, somebody kill. Ow. I was surprised by a sudden, fierce pain in my head. Thud, thud. I could feel the blood flowing into my head. How many months had it been since I'd felt pain so clearly like this? No, how many years? Maybe decades.
いつまでそんなことをしてるんですか？私の方がずっと痛かったんだけど。
I said shut up. All of you, shut up. I don't even know who you people are. All of you, just disappear. Go away forever. Like what he said to his father, right? Or not just his father, but his parents. When I said someone's name, everything suddenly became better. All the voices disappeared, and the pain in my head was gone.
タク？タク？大丈夫？
What is happening now?
怪我は、平気だね。
She was right next to me as if that was the most natural place in the world for her to be.
お前、お前、なんでここに。
お？私はいつもタクの隣にいるよ。
I haven't seen her like this and heard her like this in a while. It's, nostalgic. This is impossible. When Dad used his mind control on me, I killed her.
そうだ。僕が。
I remember Dad used his mind control on me, in the theater cube at the Hikariwo. So that means this Serica is...
僕の、ただの妄想か。
昔みたいだね。
Serica laughed. I didn't know why.
で、どう？
何が？
思考誘導、どんな感じ？
なかなかだよ。結構きつい。
そう？結構居心地良さそうだけど、お腹も空かないんでしょ？
Serica looked around into the empty void. She was acting like she'd just come over to check out a friend's new house.
お前な、一度こうなってみろよ。体を動かせないのがどんなに辛いか。
そりゃ私は耐えられそうにないけど、タクはリハビリの時に経験済みじゃん。
あの時は動かそうとするたびにちゃんと痛みが走った。動いてなくても動かしてるっていう実感があったんだよ。
そういうもの？
Serica tilted her head at me.
これ、向こうはどうなってる？
向こう？
現実だよ。つまりシアターキューブにいる僕だ。思考誘導を受けて多分倒れてるだろう。
I didn't even have the slightest idea how much time had passed, but it had to have been much longer than a day or two. The Restoration Festival was probably long since over, and I might have already starved to death.
それはないんじゃないかな。だってタクちゃんと話してるし、生きてるってことでしょ。
そうだけど。
情報をまとめて理屈で考えろっていつも言ってるのはタクだよ。
あ、
こっちと向こうの時間が違うとか。
She's right. That's very possible.
ひなちゃんたちはどうしたの？
ひなちゃん。
Oh, right. Hinai. Aramura Hinai. How did I forget about her?
新庄さんたちと一緒に渋谷を抜け出したと思う。
たちって誰？ウキちゃんとゆうとくんと
久野里さん。
あれれ、はなちゃんは？
あいつは事件と直接関係ないから。
I still am not convinced that she wasn't directly involved in some way. She seems like a weird outlier. Like, everybody was involved in the case at some point, it seemed like even Ito. So, I don't know. Like, the fact that she is not involved at all, I don't buy it.
そっか。
And then Serica started asking me one question after another. Could I really not move? Was the light I sometimes saw a hallucination? Were the voices I heard just auditory hallucinations? I took a long time answering each one in as much detail as possible. I had plenty of time after all. And just the act of having a conversation was wonderful. It was something I'd done all the time in my daily life and at the newspaper club. Come to think of it, who first used the phrase, "You don't know what you got till it's gone," and when did they use it?
わかんないよ。ポケコン持ってくればよかったかな。
I laughed a little, though I wasn't sure if Serica was serious or joking. Each time I would answer one of her questions, Serica's expression would change. She would laugh or get mad, and sometimes she would even try to correct me. She really did seem like a normal person. But...
何？
お前、昔は僕の妄想でどこにもいなかったんだな。
バレちゃったか。
She acted just like a kid who'd been caught while playing hide and seek.
他の人からはどう見えてたんだ？
If she wasn't real, I must have spent all my time as a kid talking to empty air.
どうって見たまんまだと思うけど。でもさ、私とタクが一緒にいるところなんてそんなに見られてないよ。タクの両親くらいじゃない？あと病院の地下で千里ちゃんにか。あれは失敗したな。そのせいで私のんちゃんにバレちゃったんだよね。
Okay. Yeah, thinking back to like how did No know about Serica? That's right. Serica and I spent almost all of our time in my room. I've never been to her house. Actually, according to Kunosato-san, her house never even existed.
言ってくれればよかったのに。
そういうわけにはいかないよ。
She laughed, but she seemed a little bothered.
でも、あの時はどうだったんだ？渋谷地震。
ああ。
I remembered carrying Serica through the hell that was post-earthquake Shibuya. But if she'd only just been born when I'd had the headache, when I was in the Yoyogi shelter, I hadn't really been carrying her on my back after all. Only then did I remember why I was here. It wasn't to talk about old times.
よくわかんないけど、でもちょっと変くらいにしか見えてなかったと思うよ。ほら、私は気を失ってたからあんまり話してないし。あんな状況じゃタクが独り言を言ってるとか歩いてる姿勢がおかしいとか別に誰も。タク？
え？
どうしたの？
いや、
If I could have moved my body, I would have been looking straight back into Serica's eyes.
お前を生み出した時、僕はお前に何を望んだんだろ
それはね、わかんないよ。
She didn't seem surprised or upset at all.
だって今の私はタクの知ってることしか知らないもん。向こうの彼女しか知らないことだもん。
Yeah, that's right. The Serica in front of me might look alive, but she's really just another delusion of mine. So she doesn't know anything that I don't. I created her all over again just to help me get through this torture. She's just a... Oh. When I realized it, I felt so disgusted with myself. I felt so pathetic that I wanted to cry. How could I be so shameless?
う。僕は向こうの尾上を殺したんだぞ。
Even if it was a trap created by Dad's mind control, I had still killed her with my own 2 hands. She'd almost killed me, and then I'd lost control and killed her instead. I'd torn open her stomach injury and strangled her. Saying that I'd been mind controlled was just an excuse. I knew that the rage and desire to kill her I'd felt was real. Even without the mind control, the same thing happened in reality. I would probably do it again. I'd kill her all over again.
だけど尾上は違った。
Even when the delusionary me tried to kill her, she just chose to die rather than resist, unlike me. But then I wished for her to save me, just like I did during the Shibuya earthquake. I couldn't handle the darkness on my own, so I recreated her. I'm using her all over again. I can't imagine anyone worse than someone like me.
別に気にすることないよ。私ここにいられて楽しいもん。
Enough, stop it.
タクが呼んでくれなかったら話すこともできなかったし。
Don't tell me exactly what I want to hear. Come to think of it, Serica's always been like that ever since I was little. Even when I was neglected, she was always jealous of me. She always made me think I was better off than she was. Whenever I wanted to show off a new piece of information I'd learned, she'd always act interested. She'd pretended to be a stupid girl so that I would always get to think of myself as a right-sider.
ごめん。ごめんな。本当に。ごめん。
タク。
Serica looked hurt when she saw me apologize. Why don't you understand? You don't have to apologize. This is what makes me happy, she seemed to say. But she only looked that way because I wanted her to. My ego and desire had created the role of a kind-hearted young girl that she was forever forced to play. The 2 of us just stayed like that for a little while. I kept apologizing, and Serica seemed to not want to hear it. Eventually, she spoke to me like a mother scolding her
タクは
child.
ね、それでも私を許しちゃいけないんだよ。
え？
私、のんちゃんを殺しちゃったんだから。そうでしょ？
でも、その理由が僕のせいかもしれないんだ。
No, it's not a maybe. There has to be a something connected to me.
けど、私は死んじゃったから、聞くことはできないでしょ？
She's right. No, I'm just forcing her to say that.
じゃあさ、
Of course, I knew what she would say next. Serica's voice became a light, the one thing that lit up my path in this dark world.
タクはどうしたいの？
Suddenly, I saw a scene that I remembered well. Until a moment ago, the darkness had kept me from remembering, no matter how hard I tried to imagine it. But now I could see my family. They must have been getting ready for dinner. I smelled something good. I looked in the kitchen and saw a lineup of dishes fit for a nursing home. Yui, Uki, if you take cooking lessons from Nono, they're going to start calling you Mom and Granny at school. Yuto was in the corner sulking because Yui had made fun of him. Yui was looking at him and laughing. Uki didn't know what to do. Nono gave Yui a brief scolding, but she was smiling when she did it. It was the same thing I'd seen a million times before. Nothing was different. Everyone was in the club room going over the case. We seemed to be talking about Shibuya news. Kunosato-san had updated some information. Kazuki was playing her game. Ito went to stop her, but froze when she offered him a piece of dried squid. Aramura told a stupid joke, and Ito blushed and started to shake his head frantically. There was still no expression on Kazuki's face. This was another scene I knew well. But this world was never coming back. Dad had destroyed it.
それでいいの？
Of course not. I loved my family. I loved my friends. Those people were the most precious things in the world to me. But he destroyed them all, and when I asked him why, the only reason he gave to me was that it was fun. I can't let him get away with that. No matter what I do now, Yui and Nono are never coming back. The life I had with my friends is gone forever. My feelings began to break free from the darkness and came to life again. Blood flowed through my body once more, and my senses started to return to me. That's right,
敵を取らなきゃダメだ。
Alright, is he gonna have his moment where he breaks free of the mind control, pulls out the D-sword, and just absolutely wails on the dad? Even if it means breaking my promise to Nono. I don't care what Dad's trying to accomplish with this experiment, or what's happening to me. He wants to accomplish something through this experiment on me. Whatever it is, I don't even want to know.
それを知ろうとしなくていいの？
いい。
I don't care. I refuse to go insane like he wants me to.
なんかタコらしくないね。
うるさいな。
でも感情だけで頑張っちゃうタクもちょっと見てみたいな。
I smiled back at her, and then I focused all my neurons on creating a delusion. I started trying to envision what the theater cube looked like, as well as that bastard of a father and where exactly he was standing. Since I'm trapped in a prison, then I just have to reboot a delusion that's even more powerful than his. And then I'll pull him into my own delusion. From what I remember, it looked like this.
もうちょっと明るくなかった？天井から照明当たってるんでしょ？
Were they?
多分これくらい。あともうちょっと近かった。
Closer, huh? How about this?
オッケー。さすがカメラいじってるだけあるね。
Serica walked around the stage checking to see if there's anything I'd missed. She must have been satisfied because she nodded several times.
タクの立ち位置もオッケー？
意識が飛んだ時のままならな。
違ってたらどうするの？
その時はその時だ。確実な方法なんてありっこないんだからな。
Serica pretended to be impressed with what I'd said. I laughed at myself, too. Was I really the type of person who was brave enough to do something like this? I used to think that risky decisions weren't courageous but stupid. I used to think courage was just a word people use to hide their stupidity.
あ、そうだ、タク？
ん？
私の仇は取っちゃダメだよ。のんちゃんたちの仇は取らなきゃダメ。でも私の仇はダメ。
それは。
いいから、とにかくその瞬間タクが思っていいのはのんちゃんたちだけね。
I really am sorry, and thank you for everything. Those were the only words I could come up with. I didn't know what else to say to her.
ほらタク、ちゃんとしてよ。じゃないと私が来た意味なくなっちゃうじゃん。
Serica pouted a little. It was the same thing she used to do in the newspaper club. I tried to stop my tears from welling up again.
ちゃんとしてるよ。この僕がちゃんとしてなかったことなんてあるか？
あの時とあの時、それから
指を折って数えるな。
Serica laughed, and then she looked me right in the eyes.
多分向こうへ戻った瞬間、 その一瞬にしかあいつの隙はないよ。だからチャンスは。
一度あれば十分だ。
That's right. I would only have a few seconds in the world of my delusion. And a few seconds when I got back to reality. I'd probably have less than 5 seconds in total. If he'd been researching psychics for as long as he said, he'd notice what I'd done immediately. So I'd only get one shot at this. If it didn't work, he'd definitely kill me this time. Serica looked relieved when she saw my resolve. And then she smiled and started to fade away as if her job was done. At the same time, I felt a stabbing pain in my head. It was the pain from when the D-sword appeared. Here it comes.
無謀なことにかける覚悟はオッケー？
オッケー。
賭け金が自分の命だっていう現実はオッケー？
オッケー。
バカな決断に言い訳をしない意志はオッケー？
オッケー。
じゃあ行って舞台に上がってタク！
I slammed my own delusion down on top of the one that was holding me captive. It was like splattering bright paint onto a black canvas. In a single instant, a perfect replica of the theater appeared. Yes, it's working. Dad was right in front of me. He looked surprised. I could tell from the shock on his face that he hadn't realized it yet. He didn't realize this was a world of delusion sitting on top of another delusion, and that I dragged him inside. The machine on his back started to creak and moan. Its shape was becoming warped and distorted as if it was being crushed by an invisible giant. I screamed louder as I tried to use my power to destroy it. Dad stepped back as if to protect it, the look on his face making it clear he still couldn't believe what was happening. But it was too late. Shatter. Shatter. I hit him with an even stronger delusion. The outer frame couldn't take the stress, and the machine started to break. Dad panicked and raised his D-sword to use his mind control on me again. A red light flashed in front of me, but it wasn't the mind control again. It was the opposite. This was the key to the plan that the other Serica and I had come up with. Dad, Sakuma, had made a mistake. He thought I'd escaped from his mind control on my own. He thought that I'd escaped from the delusion and made it back to reality. So he did just what we hoped he would and ended the mind control that was on me now. Even though I was actually still inside that dark prison. Dad had stayed calm, he would have noticed his mistake immediately. But it was all so sudden that he'd panicked and made the wrong decision. This feels like this is going a little bit too well. That black torture chamber was gone, and in that instant I cancelled my own delusion. The bonds that had tied me in place were now gone. My senses came back and told me that this was reality. The pain of my injury, the smell of blood, the taste of blood, the feeling of the D-sword in my hand, Dad howling as he stood there with his fake sword raised high. But just getting back to reality wasn't good enough. I probably only had a few seconds left. I needed to destroy the real device before he figured out the trick. Run. I forced my aching body to move and ran at full speed toward my foe. I lowered my body as I ran and held my D-sword ready. Oh no, a new attempt at mind control came at me. I could feel it trying to scramble my brain, but I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I bit down hard on my lip and used the pain to check my 5 senses. You're still okay. Don't stop. Run. Keep running. I swung my D-sword down at my father. Dad tried to dodge it, but that was exactly what I wanted. He ducked low, and I could clearly see the device on his back. I dug my D-sword into it hard before he could move. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. I'm still waiting for him to maybe have another trick up his sleeve, but, like, that's a big win. I wonder if, like, maybe because of my injury, will I be able to still get out of this and meet up with everybody after? And, you know, what happened to them? Hopefully they didn't run into trouble while trying to leave Shibuya. Panting, I pulled my D-sword out of the device. Parts flew everywhere. Strange light had been giving off disappeared, and the artificial D-sword he was holding lost its glow. The pain in my head created by his mind control attempts vanished like it was never there. As soon as I saw that the device was destroyed, I fell to my knees. I'd spent all my energy while running at full speed, and it hurt to breathe. I was dizzy from lack of oxygen. Dad's mood suddenly began to change. He seemed to realize what I had just done. The smile on his face vanished, and instead of anger, there was now no expression at all. I'd never heard him use a tone like that before. Built different. It's because I had Serica. Like, she was my coping device from when I was young, and then she came back when I needed her the most. Oh, what was the guy's name in the first? His name started with N. It was like, no... Oh, I can't remember what his name was. The guy who tortured Takumi. I used my D-sword as support to help me to my feet. It was fine. I could move. I just wait for Sakuma to pull a gun out. Dead. I could move just the way I wanted to. I was sure of it. I definitely made it back to reality. I readied my D-sword again without saying a word. There was still no expression on Dad's face. I looked down. Serica was lying there looking like she was asleep, even though she was dead. Dad's anger had vanished, and instead, he started to speak like a scientist observing a guinea pig. That was even creepier somehow. Dad raised the now dull D-sword and walked toward me. It was no longer an artificial D-sword, but it was still a giant metal blade. Even without his powers, it was more than capable of killing me. I stepped away from him, my own weapon at the ready. It felt like if I looked away from him, I'd be killed. The iron blade suddenly swung down at me. There was an impact on my face. I felt some of my back teeth break and blood spurted from my mouth. I'd been knocked onto the floor. I swung my D-sword in my hand frantically. For a moment, I experienced the pain and light that were caused by mind control. Is that thing still working? It's not broken? It has to be. I dropped my D-sword. Oh no, in despair, it vanished. But the mind control never came. My attack a moment ago actually had managed to damage it. Oh, that sounded like blood. Sakuma's iron sword struck me on the left leg. An indescribably awful pain ran up my spine and smashed into my brain.
んなことなら最初から拷問室にでも思考誘導しとくべきだったな。なんなら今やってやろうか。リアルで。よー
It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Was this plan stupid after all? Was there no way for me to win?
ほらよ
I was saying it felt like it was going too well before. Yeah, damn. But yeah, it felt like I was having my heroic moment and I was waiting for, like, the other shoe to drop.
ダメだな。通覚からの発狂じゃ何にも新しいものは
It's
得
just
られ
not
ねえ。
fun, right? What happened to my leg, my body? Were they still there? I couldn't move, just like in that black prison.
なら、あいつらをお前の目の前で殺してみるか。
Huh? I could hear those words clearly, even as my whole body was screaming with pain.
多分まだ渋谷を出てねえだろ
The instant I understood what he meant, I forgot about the pain coursing through my body.
おお、それでいいんだよ。お前にとってそれが大事なものであればあるほど効果は高えからな。
He kicked me, and I rolled across the ground. Then he started to walk away. My throat hurt as I screamed. I was frustrated that I couldn't even speak. Where is he going? Where else? To where they are. After the people most precious to me. I would hope that they would be gone by now, like they already left. Ugh. Hopefully he's just gonna head back to the house, assuming they're all there and they've already left. I tried to stand up, but the leg he'd struck wouldn't move and I fell back to the ground. I fell face first onto the floor. My left leg wouldn't move. It was probably broken. It was the one place I didn't feel any pain. My body wouldn't move. Why? I finally made it out of that darkness. I can't just let him go. Move. I don't care what moves. Move. Move. Oh, it's like back when he first was going through the rehabilitation, right? With after the earthquake. He's going to kill them right in front of me? Kill Aramura? Kill Uki? Kill Yuto? Kill Kunasato-san? I won't let you. I won't let you do it. As my vision blurred from the pain, I saw Serika's body lying on the ground.
のんちゃんたちの仇は取らなきゃダメ。でも私の仇はダメ。当たり前でしょ？
絶対にさせるか！
I howled. Hey, there we go. You think that he would learn not to get him pissed off, because that seems to be what gets him to activate the sword, and my D-sword appeared as if in response to my cry. And then... it sliced through the air toward my dad as he walked away. Oh shit, are we just gonna hit him from behind and kill him?
何
Oh shit, that's awesome. Of course, right? They got a monologue. If he had just not aggravated him like that, that's the problem. He gave away his plan. I know it was intentional to cause me pain because he liked to see me in pain, but if he had just kept his mouth shut, that he would have been fine. My dad turned around at the noise just in time for my D-sword to impale his throat. And then he slowly fell backward onto the floor. Hopefully, oh my gosh, what's his name? Shinjo? The cop, he's gonna come back for me, right? He said he would. I somehow managed to endure the pain that was coursing through my body and stand back up. There was blood everywhere on the stage. I avoided it, dragging my unmoving left leg as I walked toward the body that used to be my dad. The D-sword was still shining as it stuck out of his throat. I made it disappear. It's gonna be hard for Shinji. He's gonna have to cover all this up. It's like, how does he explain this? That, like, you know, this is a public place. People are gonna come in the next day and just see all the blood everywhere. There's a body. 2 bodies, actually. There's also Sarika as well. When I saw what was left, I didn't feel a sense of accomplishment or anything else, just an urge to vomit. He was lying on the ground. I'd killed him. I just killed my own father. What the hell is happening? Taking revenge for Nono and Yui didn't make me feel any better at all. I didn't feel happy. I suddenly realized I was crying. I didn't know how long I'd been crying for, but my tears were red. Everything around me felt like a lie. I was having trouble standing up, and not just because of my injury. This was how it felt to cross a line that no one should ever cross. I tried to smile and forget my tears. What the hell am I doing? Do I feel like this because I broke my promise to Nono? Oh, right, Sarika. That was the real reason I came here in the first place. There's something I need to ask her. I looked away from Dad and walked to Sarika, dragging my leg behind me.
そうか。それも、もう叶わないのか。
I looked down at Sarika and reached out my hand toward her. I wanted to at least fix up her clothes where they'd been messed up. Oh! There was a loud, heavy noise and an impact around my stomach. Ooh, he might not even make it to the end of this. Maybe he dies before he can get out of here. What was that? I looked down at my body, trying to find the source of the sound and the noise. I mean, whenever these things happen, who's to say that he's not a delusion within a delusion within a delusion? Maybe this isn't even happening, and he, like, I don't know. And there, I saw a D-sword, sticking out of my stomach. It was... Oh, shit! What? The same one that had taken Nono's life on the roof of Hekiho Academy. Huh? What? What? November 6, 2015, Friday. 10:50 p.m. The second Shibuya Restoration Festival was now over. The murmuring amongst the crowd at Memorial Park started as soon as the Shibuya ward mayor finished his speech. Some people headed straight for the station, glad to be done. Some people were so moved by the speeches given by the victims, they stood in front of the memorial, wiping away their tears. Some people went out to go drinking since it was Friday. They'd all come to the Restoration Festival for different reasons. But even now, when all the planned festivities were over, there were still some people who hadn't seen what they'd come for.
んだよ、出てこないじゃん。
誰だよ、ここに来るってつぶやいたやつ。
The whispers started all over the place, and others agreed even though they would never say it. They all looked around with searching eyes. Everyone was looking for Miyashiro Takuru. At the same time, Shibuya Scramble Crossing. This place was even more packed than Memorial Park, and the reaction was even stronger.
はあ、なのマジで自殺するわけねえだろ。踊らされんなって、情弱をつ。
うわ、腹立つ。
Some started to say the whole thing was a hoax, and more people began to leave. The ones that didn't move at all were the ones in the masks. They were waiting for Miyashiro Takuru more than anyone else. But the festival was over. When the heat and passion of the festival began to fade and reality came crashing in, they began to doubt. He was the mastermind behind all those murders. They thought it would be nothing for him to commit suicide in public. But were they wrong? Or was someone that brilliant capable of making an announcement like that, then managing to escape? The ones that stood in groups began to stare at each other with their three-eyed masks, trying to guess what the others were thinking. Should they move somewhere with less people? They waited for someone to suggest it.
何あれ
And then something happened that saved them. At the center of the commotion were police officers running somewhere in a hurry.
いやちょっと待ってくださいですから
Shinjo kept suggesting they get confirmation, but his boss ignored them. So I'm guessing there was they created a delusion of Takaru killing himself in front of people. When the information had come in, he'd lost his ability to control the situation.
くそ
He cursed at the phone as they hung up on him. This is bad. This is really, really bad, Shinjo thought to himself.
どうした
久野里さん車で待ってろと
待たせすぎる何があったんだ
Shinjo looked at the time. It had already been 10 minutes after he'd gone back to Aoba dorm and gotten everyone to the car. So they are not going to be able to leave Shibuya. And they probably have not left Shibuya. And then we see that the dad, Sakuma, is going after them. So,
タレコミがあったらしい宮代君が光陽にいること
oh, shit.
もうバレてる
Okay. Oh no, they're coming for him right after he, okay. So this is probably happening concurrently with what's going on at the Hikari Well. So I wonder if the police are going to run in and they're going to see him surrounded by just dead bodies, but also he just got stabbed by Sarika.
何
That was probably the first time Shinjo had ever seen her go pale.
どこからの情報だ
わからない捜査本部はどこからでもいいだろうの一点張りだ
This is bad because he's going to rush in. He's going to bring probably, I don't know, is he going to he's going to tell Kunasato probably and everyone else to stay here, but I wonder if he's just going to bring all of them with him. Well, it doesn't matter because Sakuma, that's right, he's dead. He can't kill them, but someone else might be able to kill them. Shinjo had repeatedly asked for a source, but it didn't help. From the way his boss had been acting, it was likely that they didn't even know where it came from.
うちの連中がもう光陽に向かってる
あんたはどうするんだ
Now that the police knew that Miyashiro was at the Hikariwo, there was no time for him to go to Akihabara and back. Shinjo had to be there. It was his job. He was the detective in charge of the case, so someone was doing this on purpose, probably to keep the other psychics in Shibuya. And if Miyashiro was going to be arrested, he was the only one who could help. But getting the kids from Aoba dorm out of the city was something that only he could do. What should I do? He kept asking himself that. Could Kunasato not drive the van? Is she not? She's old enough. She probably has a license.
行ってこい
There,
こっち
exactly.
はこっちで勝手に渋谷を脱出する
え脱出って言うがな何が起こるかわからないんだぞ
That's why he'd stayed here as a guard.
なんとかするさただし車だけは置いていけよ
え
She couldn't possibly mean. He had a bad feeling about this. Did Kunasato-san have an international license?
無免許運転を取り締まってる場合かとっとと行け
あのな
Suddenly, his phone began to ring. This time, it was from one of his men. There wasn't even time to think about it anymore. He prayed as he tossed Kunasato the key.
子供たちが乗ってるんだ無茶な運転はするな
当然だ私を誰だと思っている
何かあったらすぐに連絡しろそれが無理ならどこでもいい交番に駆け込んで俺の名前を出せ
Shinjo ran off without waiting for an answer.
新庄さん
あ
He turned around. Kunosato had a totally earnest look on her face as she spoke.
アクセルは確か右だった。
Oh gosh. Well, I guess if she like grew up in the States, right, everything is reversed. Shinjo had to force himself not to go grab the keys out of her hand. Look it up on the internet, wrong sider, he yelled as he ran towards the Hikariwo. It was cold, and I was sleepy. My body wouldn't move. Am I back in that world? That dark prison? No. I can still feel pain. My senses are still working. And just what is this? I suddenly remembered where I was. Did I pass out? Ugh. My back, my stomach. I felt the warmth fading from my body with each drop of blood I lost, but my wounds burned like someone was pressing a soldering iron up against them. And yet, for some reason, I felt sleepy. None of this made sense. My whole body had stopped making sense. I heard footsteps. They were getting further away. I forced my eyes to open and looked toward the source of the sound. The first thing I saw was my dad's body, the body of the man I'd killed. Till a moment ago, he'd still been a person. And just past him, I saw her through my blurry eyes. Well, didn't they say, like, Serica, she was doing, everything she was doing is going against what the apparent wish was, which is to protect Takaru, and yet all of her actions kind of made it seem like she's trying to do the opposite. She was getting further away. It really was Serica. She was alive. She was walking. She had just put her phone in her pocket. She was walking across the stage. She was probably heading for the exit, high among the seats. She didn't look back. Maybe she's going for the rest of the psychics to kill them? I couldn't be hallucinating. At least I shouldn't have been. There was no one left who could use mind control. There's something I have to ask you. That's why I came here. Come on, this is supposed to be my body, right? Why won't it move when I tell it to? Serica stepped off the stage. She made her way through the seats to leave. She was about to disappear. No, don't, wait. Please, come on, move. Suddenly, I felt a familiar pain in my head. I obeyed my intuition and let it go. My D-sword suddenly appeared in my hand. That's right, I can do that. Just like I did before. You gotta remember, you've got telekinesis. You could slam her, like, to the ground or something. You've done it before with her. I used my powers to fling my D-sword at Serica, or that too. I didn't care if it landed at her feet or where it landed at all. I just had to stop her. Serica sensed it coming and turned around. At the same time, a light appeared around her. Her D-sword appeared from within the light. She then grabbed it and easily blocked the incoming blade. When the two swords collided, my vision went white. Oh. What? Kazuri, she was fighting against the mind control. So, wait, did they have it... Okay, wait, did they have it planned so that, like, in my mind, I had killed her and I thought I had killed her? So was this a setup from the beginning to, like, be like, we're gonna make it seem like Okay, I'm just gonna let the game play out. What's going on? What am I looking at? Because she fought against his mind control for so long, it seemed like.
いろいろ聞きてえが、まず理由からいいか。
クルス殿を殺害する前、その思考を読んだ。彼女は遺言として手紙を残してきている。
はあ、涙ぐましいことだな。 殺されるのを覚悟してたってことか、あいつ。
すでに警察に渡っているだろう。遅かれ早かれ宮代拓もそれを読むことになる。そうなったら宮代はあの手紙にクルス・ノノの死に縛られる。あいつは遺言に従おうとするだろう。
遺言ってのは何だ？
復讐をしようとするな。もう事件を追うな。
Oh, so like they wanted it, so he did. So he wanted to get revenge.
へえ。
そうなれば宮代は絶対に事件を追わなくなる。それは私にとって都合が悪い。だから復讐や事件のことではなく、この私自身に興味を持たせるしかない。それで彼は必ず動くだろう。
Oh, is that why she called him and she told him, like, that's why she's like, I killed your parents, because she knew he was gonna want to, like, know more about that.
そうか？なんでそんなことまでわかんだ？
私は宮代のことなら何でも理解できる。そういう存在だからだ。
ああ、思考誘導しなきゃいけねえのはなんでだ？
彼のそばには有村ひなえがいる。あの能力を無効化したい。思考誘導で私自身が嘘を信じ込んでしまえば、それはもう嘘ではなくなる。
Oh.
真実として有村に認識されるだろう。
Oh,
もちろ
shit.
ん宮代にもな。
And that's right, because Aramora's like, she's like, well, she's telling the truth, but it still seems off, right? That's, yep.
ああ、伊藤ってガキと同じ手だな。
Serica was talking with Dad. The vision was unclear, like it was wrapped in fog. But this was...
でもめんどくせえな。タクルのやつに直接誘導をかけちまえば、それで済む問題じゃないのかよ。あっと、怒んなよ。
彼に対して可能な限り思考誘導はかけない。あれは脳をダメにする。そうだったな。
ああ、でも最後はもう一回使わせてもらうぜ。誘導なしじゃギガロマニアックス相手に勝ち目なんてね。
もう一度だけだぞ。いいな。
わかってるよ。
I could see the two of them talking. It looked like an old movie shown through a projector that was slightly out of focus. But I wasn't really seeing it. The vision seemed to be coming directly into my mind.
じゃあ次だ。お前の思考にどう誘導をかける？
筋書きはこうだ。一つ、すでに委員会との関係を断たれているお前が委員会へ戻ろうと野心を抱いている。この作り話を私に信じ込ませろ。
Okay, so that's not true. Okay.
二つ、その野心のためにお前は協力者の私を裏切り、宮代拓を犯人に仕立て上げようとしている。これも私の脳にすり込め。
Oh my gosh, the whole time. Was the cut? Was that also a lie? Like, was that a delusion created where she said, like, did she cut herself? Where she's like, I got into a fight with Sakuma and he attacked me.
三つ、しかるべきタイミングで彼の両親を殺したのは私だと私自身の口から伝えるように誘導。
And she wasn't the one who killed his parents, because why would she need to be mind controlled to believe the lie,
そ
right?
して最後は
What the fuck is
私の
happening?
生きる目的を
Change the reason I exist. Huh? Right, these are probably Serica's memories. So it's like everything we know about her is a lie? Are her memories coming into me through her D-sword?
俺までその嘘話の中に巻き込むのかよ。
そうしなければならない。有村の能力とは別に障害となる人間がもう一人いる。久野里美代だ。
あいつか。なるほどな。
久野里美代は事情に精通しすぎているが、だからこそ委員会の話をでっち上げる。あの女は委員会のことと
Oh my
冷
goodness.
静さを失うからな。
お前おっかねえ女だな。そこまで考えてるってのか。いや、思考盗撮のおかげってやつか。
このゲームの登場人物を動かしているのは私だ。
Oh, controlling all the characters in this game. Don't tell me that this is like a meta thing where this is all just a game. Oh, game? I suddenly remembered something. The theory I'd come up with in the newspaper club room. I had thought the killer was challenging me to a game, that the killer was moving people around like chess pieces. It sound like Umineko a little bit, isn't it? And that they wanted me to be the other player in the game. But once my dad identified himself as the killer, I'd given up on that theory. I thought I was wrong. But maybe I was right after all.
なるほど、ゲームね。俺も楽しいことは好きだがよ。短い間とはいえ、てめえの人生の目的まで変えようとは思わねえな。
余計なことは言わなくていい。お前は宮代の真のギガロマニアックスのデータが取れればそれでいいのだろう。その欲求は満たしてやる。
まあ、確かにそうだ。ただ、何回も言ってるがよ。俺がやろうとしてることに、タクルの精神が耐えられる可能性はゼロだぜ。昔所属してた AH 東京総合病院の地下施設、そこの責任者から直々に伝授された拷問だからな。
彼を見くびるな。私も何回もそう言っている。
I still don't know what is her end goal here. Is she trying to help me or is she trying to hurt me? Like it seems sometimes like it flips between two things.
壊しちまっていいんだな。そこに手は出さないって取り決めだもんな。
Like the way she's talking about him, she seems to have faith, like she has faith in me and it seems like she wants to help me, but knowing that she like knowingly put me through all this. Why?
思考誘導の装置さえなければ誰より先に殺していたな。
面白いな。やってみるか？
クズか。
おっとそうだ、もう一つ。なんであいつを犯人に仕立てる必要がある？お前はあいつが事件を解決すればそれでいいんだろう？
Oh wait, so she wanted, so that was her idea to make him look like the killer?
それは。
My vision blurred. There seemed to be a chorus of buzzing inside my... Like, don't tell me that this is all some messed up game because Takaru wanted his big break for the newspaper club, so she like came up with the idea to do all of these murders just to have something for him to solve. That can't be it. That's not it. This feeling, it was the same as when I had used my power. The same as when I saw my D-sword in the corner of my vision. Another vision came to me through her D-sword.
彼の中の彼が私に言う。
自分は他の人とは違う。よくそういう人がいるけれど、ほとんどが勘違いだ。みんなそのことに気づいてない情弱ばかり。でも僕だけは本当に他の人と違う。
Is this me?
あの地獄のような渋谷を生き抜いた。そして両親を誰かに殺された。特別という言葉の定義は他と明確な区別があること。
Well, we still have to like figure out. There's the whole thing about like Serica said she murdered his parents. I'm saying it's because like he said right before the light went white, he said something like, "I want my parents to disappear." So it's like he was the one who wished for that, and she just obeyed him. It seems like I don't think he's aware that that's what happened.
こんな経験をしている人はそんなにいない。だから僕は本当に特別なんだ。なあ、渋谷地震の被災者のコメントの話ってしたことあったっけ？
ん？何それ？
地震直後の混乱が収まった後、大量のマスコミが被災者に対して押しかけただろ。まだカオスチャイルド症候群者っていう言葉がなかった頃に。その取材の論調の多くは民度の高さを訴えるものだった。これだけの震災にもかかわらず、暴動や略奪などの犯罪がほとんど起きていない。これは得難いことなんだって。実際そうなんだと思うよ。何が今一番辛いですかって聞かれた時、大半の被災者が地方の家族に自分の無事を伝えてやれないこととか、子供に好物を与えてやれないこととか、 とにかく他人を心配しててさ。でもそんな中で一人の被災者が言ったんだよ。
I remembered what they said word for word. It had left a huge impression on me.
頑張れという部外者。
I remembered this scene. It was what I'd said to Serica back at Cafe Lex. It was just after the Love Hotel incident.
彼は当事者であろうとすることにこだわっている。それは幼い頃から変わらない彼の本質。
よくもまあ誰かがつぶやいてたっていう程度の情報だけで一喜一憂できるよな。僕にはとても真似できないよ。早速昨日起きた放火事件を調べに行こう。現場が近いんだ。
Oh my gosh. Don't tell me. This is seeming more and more. I don't think this is right. I don't want this to be right. That she came up with this game just for him, for his sake, so that he could have something to latch on to have like cases to investigate. But then why would she have it so that he was made out to be the killer?
彼はネットに潜り、情報に溺れ、綺麗に泳ぐために情報強者となることを目指し、試してくれる都市伝説を好んだ。そして興味は現実の事件へと広がる。きっかけは
6年生になった時、ニュージェネレーションの狂気が起きました。2009年です。
That's right, he was obsessed with the new gen madness. So, like, did Serica start... Was she the one? I don't know, because it makes it seem like she was killing on behalf of Sakuma to do that stuff. But the way they keep referring to it as a game.
本当に熱に浮かされていました。あの時は。
What is this? This is me yesterday. How? Is Serica's D-Sword suddenly reading my memories now?
自分たちが住んでいる渋谷であんなことが起こっているのが最初信じられなくて、ほとんど PC に張り付いて情報を追ってました。ああいう大きな事件が起こった時のネットって本当に数分間目を離していただけで最前線からの情報からは置いていかれるんです。己と交代しながら寝ないで事件を調べて、時には携帯でネットを見ながら事件現場に出かけて、
Did like
そ
Serica...
の画像を撮ったりしてました。
Did she make this happen, like this repetition of the new gen madness? Did she do this as like a weird bonding thing? Like the two of them, they seem to be like at their best when they're working together to try and solve the mysteries? Serica wasn't real back then, but she'd been by my side anyway.
事件が進んで西条匠という人が犯人として注目を浴びて、でも結局それをひっくり返して、尾上も僕もとても興奮しました。かっこよく見えたんです、その人が。
Oh no, okay, is this happen? That's the reason that Serica like wanted to make him the killer, was so that he could prove himself wrong and be like Takumi? Like just a repeat of Takumi? All of this is just a repeat of the new Gen Madness, including like the guy who was initially thought to be the suspect and then turned out proving everybody wrong, and he just became like a hero and they thought he was cool. He just wanted to be cool.
冤罪を晴らすっていうのは結局間違った情報に
This is like a game. So this was all a game just for Takaru to be able to do the same thing, to show he's the right sider, that like he just, as long as he gathers up the information and proves everybody wrong, then he wins the game.
僕が当時新聞部の今もですけど、
Oh my gosh.
たことの最も大きな形に見えたんです。
So he's gonna learn through this that this was all done for his sake, I guess, like just for him to be a hero.
すごいね。
And people died for it.
と尾上は言ってました。同感でした。
おっとそうだ、もう一つ。なんであいつを犯人に仕立てる必要がある？お前はあいつが事件を解決すればそれでいいんだろう？
それは 6年前に起きたニュージェネレーション
Oh
の
my
狂
gosh,
気
it is.
そうだ
This is just a repetition, just to so Serica can like make him feel like the big man, the right sider. And people died for this. Like, is this the reason people died? Is just for Takumi, or sorry, Takaru's like just his ego?
あの事件も犯人と目された人間が最終的にはその冤罪を晴らし事件を解決に導いた
Fuck, and that includes Kurusu and oh my gosh, what's her name? The little sister. Wow. So he's gonna realize like all of Serica did all of this just for him. But like still, why target his family? That seems so fucked.
お前がニュージェネにこだわってんのは知ってるよ。わざわざ日付を調整してニュージェネの狂気の再来なんて呼ばれるように仕向けてきたんだからな。ニュージェネに寄せてあんな殺し方したのも、力士シールを現場に残してそれをタクルに気づかせたのも、全部タクルにニュージェネの再来事件を解決させるためだろ。
It's just crazy, like just a little one-off comment about Takaru, like a couple of episodes ago, like actually quite a few episodes ago, just making a comment about like it seems like the killer is playing a game and wants me to participate, and he's exactly right. So the theory I came up with in the newspaper club room was actually correct? If so, then Serica was the one manipulating the characters and setting up the game. And her real goal was me.
殺し方を決めたのはお前だろう。あんな悪趣味なものまで私のせいにするな。
あのくらいの思考誘導試させてもらわねえと面白くねえだろう。んで、もうこれまでで十分お膳立ては揃ってるだろ。なんで解決の流れまで昔の事件を真似る必要があるんだ。
もう一度言う。彼を見くびるな。宮代拓は際限なく求め続ける。彼が私を生み出した目的は。
Alright, we're back here again. The vision changed again. That's me. That's me from that day, when I made it to the shelter after the earthquake.
そうだ。そうだよ。
I started remembering what I'd been thinking about at that time. I'd met the people from my class on the way here. They were probably trying to help a woman who was injured and covered in blood. They'd asked me to help. I couldn't move. I couldn't think clearly, even though I knew how to give first aid. They seemed to think I was going to just let the woman die, so they'd look down on me. I hope I never end up like him, their eyes said. It was what I, as a right-sider, had always thought about wrong-siders like them. It was the way I'd always looked at them. I was angry and frustrated that they looked at me like that. I know all kinds of things that they don't. Are they treating her injuries right? Are they doing it in the right order? I should go back and tell them what to do. God, he just sounds so obnoxious, doesn't he? It's not about helping people, it's just to prove that he is better than other people because he knows things. I'm sure I can make the right decisions. That's what I was thinking to myself at the time. Okay, now we're getting to the parents. This will be the moment, I think, where he realizes that he was the one who, like, killed his parents indirectly. Suddenly, my parents appeared. Right, that was when I ran into them at the shelter. They were yelling something at me excitedly. Then my mom grabbed my arm and I shook her off.
なんなの？こんな時まで迷惑かけないで。助かるのよ。
僕は助かる。
いいから早く。
More of the thoughts I had in that moment continued to flood my mind. I'm saved? Saved from what? The hell I just saw? Now I'm being saved from it? By people who've never even cared about me before? I shook my arm away again. Saved? Me? Why? You people have always neglected me, but now you're going to save me? Why? The moment after I thought that, I saw myself holding my head in pain. My nails were digging into my flesh, but the pain wouldn't stop, and I kept on screaming inside. No, this isn't right. Those wrong-siders in the class never did anything good before. but they suddenly wanted to be good now, and they wanted to look at me like I was worthless. I could see myself screaming more. My heart and head felt like they were going to burst. And now you people are going to save me? You, the people who just gave me 1,000 yen instead of taking me out to dinner on my birthday? Hell no. I'm not the kind of person who just gets saved by parents who don't even want him. My mom was yelling something, but I couldn't hear what she was saying back then, and I couldn't hear it even now. Shut up. You just think I'm in the way, don't you? Well, I think the same thing. You're in my way. Just what do I do? What do I want to do? Why am I here? That's right. Where's Serica? I remembered that at the time I'd carried Serica on my back to get her to the hospital, but I couldn't feel her on my back through the pain in my head. That's right. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm saving her life. Serica will understand that. She always tells me what I'm doing is right. She always understands what I have to do. She's always, always on my side. Suddenly, my whole field of vision went white. Shut up. You people should just, yeah, didn't he say, like, disappear? Or that, go away forever. Serica, save me. Please, please. That's right. These are probably Serica's memories. That's when I made my wish. To Serica. Give me something I want to do. Okay, so it wasn't necessarily just the wish for his parents to disappear. Give me something I want to do. So did he inadvertently wished, did he wish for this whole new gen madness repetition because he's saying, give me something I want to do, help me do it, like give him purpose in life? And she's like, okay, I'll recreate this thing that you were obsessed with to give you something to do? Is that what they're saying right now? Serica's memories went into me through her D-sword, and my immediate thoughts as I experienced those memories went into her simultaneously. When she knocked away my D-sword, the visions vanished. When I came back to reality, the first thing I saw was Serica's face. It was filled with despair, like she was about to cry. I'd never seen her like that before. I knew immediately that she had seen the same things I had seen. Give me something I want to do. Help me do it. That was the terrible... Oh my gosh, is this what they were implying? That he basically created the new gen madness, like the repeat of it, because he just wanted something to do. That was the terrible wish I'd made. That was the only reason why Onoe Serica existed. I thought the big was the whole thing about his parents disappearing. Laughter filled the theater. It took me a long time to realize that it was mine. The pain from the leg my dad had broken was getting worse, but the pain in my heart was somehow worse than even that. As I rose, Serica started to stagger backward as if she were terrified of me. When I saw her, I laughed even more. I'd survived the worst my dad could throw at me, and a single truth was about to drive me insane. I went forward, dragging my left leg behind me. So, if that's true, that he was the one who kind of, like, created... I mean, because if Serica was created by, like, him, what reason would she have to do all this except if it was a wish of Takeru's to do that? It's just unfortunate that his two sisters just happened to be involved in it because of the fact that they had powers, and the father, I guess, was the one... Was the dad the one who made the choice of, like, who to kill because they had those abilities, they had those powers? and just wanted them disposed of. I guess that's right. Well, they were saying the whole thing about the committee wanted to track them down, but then we learned the whole thing about, like, him saying that he did all this because he wanted to get in contact with the committee was a lie in itself. I'm a little confused right now, not gonna lie. I looked and saw that where I thought I saw Sarah had stabbed me in the stomach, she'd only cut a bit of the skin on my side. It hadn't even reached my organs. This wasn't a fatal wound, which meant this was also... It's just a big show. Maybe that means that they're still alive. A girl can dream. The sword that Sarah had knocked away came back to me. I reached out my hand for it. Oh, so she's gonna say the killer, and then Takeru's gonna be like, I solved the case, I'm absolved. And Serica, like, that's Serica's whole point, her reason for being, so that Takeru can be right and prove to everybody that he's a right-sider.
いや違うか。それじゃあ僕が解決したことにならないもんな。その実感が持てないもんな。
やめろ。
そうか。父さんがあくまで真犯人役か。僕が父さんを殺して自分の手で終わらせたと思ったところで僕を気絶させて、それから
違う。
それからお前は世間に流す情報の調整をしたのか。もしかして
Oh, so not only the
さ
fact
っきスマホをいじってたのはそれ。
not only the fact that he solved...
警察にでも連
Oh, hold
絡
on.
したのか。
Oh, shit. So that was it. So, like, not only did he solve the mystery, but he killed the killer so he'd be a hero. Even without Aramora being here, I could tell she was lying. Serica was crying. She was wiping away the tears with her sleeve. She looked like a little girl. No, she didn't just look like a little girl. She probably was one. She was only 6 years old, after all.
だよな。6年前のニュージェネ事件で一度あの人は公開処刑になってるもんな。警察に捕まえさせて大勢の前に引きずり出さないといけないもんな。で、僕が危機に陥った時に父さん、佐久間が真犯人だったっていう証拠が出てきて、僕は一転英雄になる。そういうことか。なあ、尾上。
And the fact that he's like, and my own sisters had to be basically sacrificial lambs just so he could be the big man. That's fucked. And the fact that he didn't wish for that exactly to happen, but he did set this in motion. My voice was shaking. The laughter was turning into something different. Serica kept crying and didn't answer me. Tears started to fall from my eyes, and my vision began to blur. It was as if everything in our hearts were turning into tears and flowing out.
こっちみんなの大谷が死んだのも、オトモレタンの高柳が死んだのも、有村の知り合いだった柿田が死んだのも、ネット記者の渡部が死んだのも、南沢千里に見せかけられた灰田が死んだのも、伊藤が操られて結衣を殺したのも、野々が死んだのも、全部僕のせいなのかよ。
Jesus, that's a lot to take in.
私がやったことだ。
そうだ、お前がやった。僕がお前にやらせたんだ。
Serica's D-sword sliced apart some of the audience seats, but I kept going.
久野里さんの言った通りだ。僕の周りで事件に関する出来事が起きすぎてる。 当然だよな。僕が解決するために仕組まれた事件なんだから。僕の両親を殺したのは、あの時僕が消えてなくなれと願ったからだろう。
So, like, the fact that he is, yeah, he's responsible for so many people dying, including his parents and, like, his sisters. So I wonder if this is going to end. I wonder if he's going to kill Serica and be like, I am not going to let you take, I'm not going to let you manipulate the information so that I get absolved of this. Like, maybe he's like, the only way that I can pay for what I've done is to basically say that I am the killer, because in a way he kind of is. He didn't directly kill them, but he indirectly killed them, and maybe this is the only way feels like he can, like, absolve himself. Serica didn't answer. I didn't expect her to.
事件は見事だったよ。やりたいことだったよ。美味しいネタだと思ってたよ。僕は中途半端なものじゃ解決したいって最後まで思わないもんな。
But in the end, after I solved it, all that I'd be left with was emptiness and the guilt from what I'd done. That's why I knew what I had to do now. Oh, I wonder if it is. He is gonna kill her because he's like, no, I can't be the hero. Dragging my leg behind me, I finally made it to the edge of the stage. I could see the steps down into the audience area. All that was left was to go down the stairs and out the door. Oh, okay, never mind. But the thing is, if he keeps Serica alive, she's gonna try and save him. Serica's expression suddenly changed. Like, he's gonna give himself up to the cops. She was still crying, but she seemed shocked. Because her whole job is to protect him, basically. So she's not going to let him confess to the cops and get away with, like, and be found guilty. She must have used her mind reading to see what I was planning to do. She ran to the bottom of the stage to block me. But I looked right at her as if to say I wasn't changing my mind. Serica raised her D-sword and pointed it at me. It was a warning not to go any further, but that wouldn't make me stop now.
お前は僕を殺せないだろう。
もう一度意識を奪う。目が覚めた頃には全てが終わっている。その時は何が起こったのかわからないかもしれないが、時間が経てばきっと気づく。
何に？
お前が本当にやりたいことは、お前が今考えているようなことじゃない。前代未聞の事件を解決した英雄として、この世界に認められることだ。
そんなこと、僕は望んでない。望んでいる！私だからわかる！いや、私にしかわからないんだ！
Serica's words probably came from reading the deepest parts of my heart. I wouldn't deny that. She was right. If I just let her handle everything, I would become a hero. And if I kept going forward, all that was waiting for me was destruction. When I thought about that, I got scared. I was terrified. But even so, it would have been cool if it had given you a choice at this point to be like, do I just let her finish her plan and let me be a hero and see what happens after that? Or do I take responsibility and, you know, do the canon ending? She was still holding her D-sword. It was clear she had no intention of letting me go any further. He's gonna be like, I guess I'll have to kill you then if you won't let me go. I grabbed the hilt of my own D-sword and raised it as well. Oh shit. Here we go. I said to her from on top of the stage. I said the same thing to her that she had said to me in that dark prison.
舞台に上がれ。尾上セリカ。
I could see her on the other side of her D-sword looking hurt. But she must have read my thoughts and realized I wasn't going to change my mind, because she slowly came up. The bright lights illuminated her beautifully. I took several steps back the way I'd come so I could keep my distance. I must have lost too much blood because I suddenly staggered. My vision blurred. With only my right leg working, I was barely able to keep my balance. I couldn't stop here. I couldn't.
どうしてだ。どうして犯人として名乗り出ようとする。いや、どうしてそれが許せるんだ。その情報に踊らされているのは、下に集まっている連中、情弱たちだぞ。情報強者のお前が最も嫌う。情弱だ。自分たちが偽の情報に誘導されていることに気づきもしない。疑いもしない。映画でも見るような感覚で、お前の自殺を見物にやってきた、くだらない奴らなんだぞ。お前が名乗り出れば、そいつらの格好の餌だ。なんで自殺しない、クズ、いや神だ。何を叫ばれるか想像できるだろう。
I knew that. I could easily imagine it. The ones outside the Hikariwo building right now were probably the same ones who'd been partying at Shibuya's Scramble Crossing earlier. There were probably a lot of people writing irresponsible comments online. The TV was probably filled with self-proclaimed social commentators who were telling the audience exactly what they wanted to hear. But I did the exact same things in the past. I was just as bad as them.
僕は情弱だ。小さい頃からいつも隣にいた幼馴染のことさえ何にも知らなかった。
I gripped my D-sword tightly.
もう終わってるんだよ。ゲームメーカー。
The moment she hesitated, I struck myself on the back with my own powers. My vision blurred as I started to accelerate. I knocked myself forward and instantly closed the gap between myself and Sarika. Caught off guard, she stepped back and lowered her blade. She was ready to swing it upward. Yeah, it's tough to fight someone who can read your mind, right? I ignored her and brought mine down. She brought hers up. Well, he seems to be doing pretty well.
タク、どうするの？
あの時も。
Another vision came to me as our D-swords collided. Her sword knocked mine away and I quickly brought it back for another strike.
ねえ、タク、最後のとこ、何か変なの映ってなかった？ほら、ここ、これ、窓の外。
あの時も。
I saw flashes of several different conversations. I didn't know if they were my memories or hers anymore. But each time our D-swords collided, I saw another. Sarika wasn't just a normal girl who everybody loved. She was a mastermind who'd set up this whole game for me. And she'd killed Nono and Yui just to lead me to the end. I guess that's her thing, is like, she felt that they had to go because they had to be someone close to Takeru in order to keep him invested in wanting to find the truth. The symptoms of blood loss were getting worse. My vision was darkening and it felt like I was about to pass out. She kicked me. The sudden fierce pain in my stomach knocked me off balance. I dropped my D-sword and flung up my hand to try and grab it again. She kicked the sword away. It spun all the way to the edge of the stage. I fought through the pain and used my powers on the D-sword. It flew high up into the air. Serica screamed in rage, but I wouldn't stop. The D-sword spun wildly as it launched itself at Serica. She knocked it away. Well, I'm not done yet. I used my powers to make the D-sword fly again. The sword attacked her once more. She knocked it away again? Each time it came at her, Serica knocked it down. I couldn't land even a single attack. Damn it, why? Why? Then I realized she was looking at me. She wasn't looking at the sword. That's right, her power. That's why I can't hit her. The sword lost its energy and clattered onto the floor. I fell to my knees and collapsed. Damn, this isn't going to work. She can read everything I'm thinking. She knows the direction of the direction the sword is going to come from, or more precisely, which direction I'll send it in. This was bad. The room seemed to spin, and sometimes my vision would dim. I couldn't move my arms or legs. I felt cold and like I needed to throw up.
そのままおとなしく眠るといい。そろそろ警察がここに来る。大丈夫。目が覚めて時間が経てば、お前は必ず気がつく。自分がな。
Serica said it again, that this was what I'd wished for, but I couldn't let myself believe her. What should I do? What do I do? What if I changed the direction of the lights to blind her and then attacked? But the second I thought it, she knew. What if I pretended to make my D-sword disappear and then concealed it somewhere on stage? The second I thought that, she knew about that too.
そうだ。私には絶対勝てない。頼むから動かないでくれ。これ以上、傷口を広げないでくれ。
I didn't have the strength left to attack her myself. Even if I did, it was useless to try and attack someone who could read my thoughts. What do I do? Think.
もうよせ。余計なことは考えるな。
Think. There has to be a way. I was the one who created her. Then suddenly, I had an idea. What's the idea? What's the idea? Her expression suddenly changed. She was staring at me with wide eyes. Her mind reading meant she already knew. Oh, am I gonna kill myself? Oh shit, maybe that'll be it. Maybe it's like, okay, rather than you, since you can't kill me and I can't kill you, I'll kill myself. But even so... Oh, maybe he is, maybe he is. When I saw the tension on her face, I was sure of it. There was still a way I could win. I formed a strong delusion in my mind, and when I did, I was hit by a headache 1,000 times worse than when I normally used my powers. It was far worse than having a needle stabbed into my temples. It was like every blood vessel in my head was being filled with thorns. The pain was so bad that I started to vomit up stomach acid. Serica tried to run over to me and stopped. She kept turning around and looking at the exit near the seats. She seemed to be uncertain as to whether or not she should run, which meant that this idea was going to work. It wasn't something anyone had taught me, but I was sure I could do it. According to Kunasato-san, I wasn't like the other psychics who each gained a single power after being exposed to what she called the causal factor. She'd said I might be a true gigalomaniac with the power to reboot any of my delusions. And in fact, 6 years ago, I'd created Serica, a human being.
できるはずだ。やめろ。できないわけないよな。
I twisted my body upward and screamed. Oh, okay, or that. I thought he was just gonna kill himself, but okay, that works too. A number of D-swords appeared above my head. So I guess the thing is, like, she doesn't know which is the real one because maybe even he doesn't know what the real one is. Of course, they were all fakes. Oh, the closest weapon to me that I could easily imagine just happened to be my D-sword. But I'd real booted them anyway, but he made them real. They shone like fierce beasts in search of prey. My head felt like it was going to explode. I imagined each blood vessel bursting, one after another. Or was I really imagining it? Maybe this was going to kill me. But I didn't care. I had to end it here. I had to let my puppet go free. Sarika changed the form of her D-sword and spread it out as far as it would go. She was going to try and block them all. I screamed and sent them all flying at Sarika. Oh, and so I beat this goddamn game. Well, I haven't beat the game. I still have a lot of other routes I have to do. We're not even close to done yet. Not for me, anyway.
もしもし、僕です。一席ぶってもいいですか？エンディングに行く前に。
宮代、無事なのか？何があった？
Good, it connected. I could hear Aramor and the others calling my name on the other end. I felt so cold and my fingers were shaking. I turned the phone to speaker mode and started looking through its photos.
For 例えばですけど、自分が高い建物の上の方に住んでいるとして、窓から外を見たら、女が男を殺していたとするじゃないですか。
So either he's gonna die before the cops get there, or he's gonna get taken in by the cops and confess to being the murderer.
警察に通報しようと携帯を耳に当てたとき、女がこっちを見て目が合ってしまったんです。女はこっちを指さして口を動かしてます。何を言ってると思いますか？
まさか思考誘導されてるのか？そんな信憑性皆無なサイコパス診断がどうした？
Okay, it's been a while since we've had a note. Psychopath, a person whose abnormal personality poses a threat to society or themselves. In Japan, psychopathy is often referred to as antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD. People suffering from this disorder do not have the normal sense of morality and empathy exhibited by neurotypical people, which can in some cases lead to them committing heinous, horrific crimes. The primary cause of psychopathy is believed to lie within the brain, particularly the frontal lobe. I should have figured she'd known about that.
普通の人ならこう考える。例えば、そこを動くな、通報するな、とかね。でも、サイコパスは違うそうですね。1、2、3。こっちが何階にいるか数えているんだって。そう。目撃者を殺しに行くためにです。被害者側じゃなくて、加害者側に立って考えるから、ということらしいんですけど。
There was only silence. She must have decided there was no point in answering, but she was still listening.
でも、 僕も正直そんなのは嘘だと思うんです。本当のサイコパスはそんなことを思わないんじゃないでしょうか。エド・ゲインでもヘンリー・リー・ルーカスでも誰でもいいんですけど、もし彼らがこの質問をされたら、きっと質問自体が理解できないと答えるでしょうね。
Okay, let's see. Henry Lee Lucas, a non-fictional American serial killer. Some say that Lucas killed over 300 people between the early 1950s to early 1980s. He served as one of the models for the genius cannibal psychiatrist in a famous American horror movie, and while a prisoner, he was an official member of the special task force dedicated to solving the crimes he himself had committed. Died in prison from heart failure in 2001. Ed Gein, a non-fictional American murderer and one of the most famous criminals in American history. Gein would dig up dozens of local graves, retrieve the bodies of freshly buried women, and turn them into vests, socks, masks, and other articles of clothing for him to wear. Gein only killed 2 people in his lifetime, but the shocking nature of his crimes left a huge impression on the public, causing him to become the model for many fictional characters in the future.
明日の晩ご飯とか、質問した連中の服が気に入らないとか、被害者側でも加害者側でもない、どっか遠くからものを考えてると思うんです。ロールシャッハテストでも何でも、彼らの口から出てくる回答はきっと意味なんてない。だって彼らにとって全てはきっとクソったれなゲームだったんだから。
My fingers stopped. It felt like it had been a long time since I last saw that picture.
だから思うんです。あいつは何を考えていたんだろうって。
I wonder if, like, Takaru in this moment realizes his dad and him aren't that different. I wouldn't say that, like, Takaru was having fun, but maybe, like, just a little bit. Like, he did kind of see this as a game, so maybe his dad and him is like this horrible thing happened, and they kind of caused it because it was a game to them. They were just having fun.
あいつ何を聞かれても何を喋っていても実は別のところを見てたんです。一つの目的だけを見てたんです。あいつの口から出る言葉に意味なんてなかった。
お前、思考誘導されていないな。佐久間と尾上はどうした？お前は無事なのか？
Kunosato-san must have sensed that something was up because the tone of her voice changed.
あなたにはなんとなく分かっていたんですよね。あいつのこと。
The wound in my stomach and the pain in my head counted the time as regularly as a clock. Thud, thud, thud. There was a silence, 10 thuds long.
正確にはもちろん知らない。ただ、私が想像していることに近いのであれば、あいつは間違いなく向こう側だ。シリアルキラーという意味でもそうだが、こちら側にいる一般人とは最もかけ離れた存在だ。
でしょうね。きっとあいつもさっきの質問をされたら回数なんか数えない。
Kunosato-san understood after all. She knew that something was wrong with Sarika.
どうすれば僕は知ることができたんですかね。
そんなことはいい。答えろ。お前は無事なのか？
いえ、僕のことはいいんです。どうすれば彼女を理解してやれたと思いますか？
I heard a small sigh on the other end, and then a sharp voice that cut it off.
そんなことは不可能だ。言ったろ。あいつは向こう側の人間。いや、存在なんだ。こちら側にいるお前に理解できるはずがない。
Minasato-san's use of the words different and normal. I thought they were very fitting. Sarika was different. I was normal.
どうした？
I had a sudden premonition and looked down at the D-sword in my hand. I'd use this to real boot Sarika. That's right. I'd created her, which meant I could do it again.
いえ、何でもありません。
Maybe he can real boot Yui
後のことは
and
よろしくお願いします。
Nono? Now she would understand. Kunosato-san and Shinjo-san could deal with all this. I went to hang up without listening for her answer. But
待て、宮代。一つだけ聞かせろ。
はい、何ですか？
お前はこちら側にいると言ってしまったが。ちなみに、お前ならなんて答えるんだ？
さっきの質問ですか？もちろん僕も1、2、3なんて数えないですよ。でも通報するなとも言いません。だってネットで先に答えを見ちゃいましたから。
I ended what would probably be the last phone call of my life, and then I forced myself to get up despite all the blood I'd lost. My vision blurred and I staggered, but I had to keep going. I couldn't fall over just yet. I'd had an idea while I talked to Kunosato-san on the phone, about what I really needed to do with my powers, about the one way to save her, instead of releasing her. Sarika was lying face down, unconscious. She was a mess. There was blood everywhere. But it wasn't fatal. She was still breathing. She was probably just unconscious. I forced my wounded body over to her. I put both hands around the hilt of the D-sword I'd been using to support myself. The sword had no weight, but I felt like I'd drop if I didn't. She must have heard the footsteps because Sarika gave a soft moan. She slowly raised her head and looked at me. I stood close enough to look down on her from the side, and then... Her eyes went wide with shock, and then she started to crawl away from me. That sure is a convenient power, I thought to myself. She knew what I was thinking without me even needing to say it.
ただ、もう必要ないけどな。
But he said he's to save her. Does he's thinking like I need to kill her to save her because she basically was just created to be a puppet, and he's like, I'm gonna release you from that. Sarika tried to get away, her fingers digging frantically into the stage as she crawled. She glared at me and started to get up, but then her strength failed her, and this time she fell flat on her back. She gasped like she was drowning and quickly coughed up blood. There were tears in her eyes. I readied my D-sword. I stopped just this once.
殺すわけじゃない。
Oh, okay.
わかってるだろ。
Is he gonna kill himself like I thought initially? Her scream echoed violently in my ears.
どうしてそんなことを言うんだ。僕は
I was going to use my D-sword to change her. I was going to change her into a normal girl with no powers, who didn't kill anyone and who didn't even know that I'd created her. I was going to rebuild her into a normal girl.
僕ならそれができる。僕にしかできない。
I'd already created her from nothing. I knew I could do it. I could make her normal. She was crying like a baby. Are you scared? Afraid? Why? She was weeping and her voice was desperate. Her voice bounced off the stage and hung over the empty seats. No one but me heard it. Her tears fell onto the floor, mixing with my blood.
ダメだ。お前は普通の女の子になるんだ。
I spoke softly as I raised my D-sword high. I remembered what was in Nono's letter. Forget everything and live the same life as everyone else does. But don't get buried among the crowd. Doing that's impossible for me now. But I know that you can do it.
それじゃあ、さよなら。
13を確保。13の氏名は宮代拓18歳。私立碧峰学園3年。宮代拓を確保。
Okay, POI, short for person of interest, someone who's believed to possess important information regarding a crime. February 2016. 3 months later. Morning at the Aoba dormitory group home.
ユウもうできるから。
Poor Yuto lost his dad, his younger sister, his older sister, and his brother basically being, I am assuming, put away in prison for being a murderer. When Uki finished washing her face and came to the dining room, Yuto was already getting breakfast ready. So it's just the two of them?
私がやるって言ったのに。
I have to
座って
assume
ていいよ。
I have to assume there's going to be an adult here. Did Aramora move in with them? Is Kunosato looking after them? She looked inside to the kitchen and saw Yuto had already done all of Uki's work for her. Fine, I'll do the cleanup myself. As she thought that to herself, she sat in her chair without further complaint. Lately, Uki had learned to make a few dishes without resorting to the recipe scrapbook that Kurusu and Yui had made. Of course, her food didn't taste quite as good. But if nothing else, she wasn't trying difficult recipes and burning the pan like she'd been doing right after she came back. After a short wait, Yuto brought all the dishes to the table.
ありがとう。じゃあ、いただきます。いただきます。
Yuto could also make simple dishes himself now. It was his idea, and he'd been working hard at it. 3 months had passed after everything had happened. With its owner Sakuma, Takeru, Kurusu, and Yui gone, Aoba Dorm itself was in danger. The place had only survived because of Sakuma's salary, so that was natural. But when Shinjo had told them it was safe to go back to Shibuya, they'd both insisted on coming back to Aoba Dorm. Shinjo insisted it was impossible, but surprisingly, it was Momose who helped them out. She'd called in a few favors, and Aoba Clinic had become the property of a completely normal private doctor, and some of the clinic's earnings were dedicated to keeping Aoba Dorm alive. Of course, it wasn't a family like it was before. The doctor just worked at the clinic. He didn't manage the dorm. Instead, a nutritionist and nurse, both of whom said they were acquaintances of Momose's, would come by every day. But Uki and Yuto wanted to keep as much of their old lives as possible, so they wanted to make their own food. So on weekends and days when the nutritionist couldn't come, two of them eagerly went to the kitchen.
うん、おいしい。少し厚く切りすぎたけど。
Only very recently had Yuto started to talk more, after what had happened to Yui and Nono, and then what he'd been told about Sakuma and Takaru. He'd become nothing but an empty shell. The one thing that had saved him was that, even then, Uki had stayed by his side. Yuto had desperately wanted to be with someone after everything that happened. I mean, not bad for 3 months after, like, your whole life has been turned upside down. Of course, the wounds in his heart hadn't healed. No, they probably never would. The loneliness and regrets would come back to haunt him again and again. Even Uki herself sometimes had trouble sleeping at night. When that happened, she would go to Yuto's room and tell him it was because she knew he was afraid of being alone at night, and the two of them would endure the terror together. The two of them were brother and sister, inseparable now, just like Nono and Takaru had been.
あ、そうだ。受け入れのことだけど。うん。
Uki's chopstick suddenly froze.
僕はいいよ。
She didn't expect that answer. She thought Yuto would refuse.
使ってもらった方がきっといいよ。
They were thinking of accepting new members at Aoba Dorm, which would mean they'd have to use Takaru or Nono's room. She'd wanted to save them personally. Nono wasn't coming back, but she wanted to believe that Takaru might. But if Yuto had made his decision, she had to support him as his big sister.
そうだね。
She smiled the best she could and started to eat more of her little brother's cooking.
チャオス、ひなえちゃんでーす。
The door opened and Aramura Hine walked into the newspaper club room.
あれれ、花んとこも実習？うん。
The owner of the room raised a hand in greeting without even looking up, like she always did.
今日の機嫌はいい方か。
She'd learned how to tell from the sounds on the keyboard. Is Ito? Hopefully he's been released from the hospital? Aramura sat in her usual spot and took out the book she was reading, Teru Miyake's famous 6,000 Lives and Deaths. There had been an awful lot of free periods lately, and during each one she would either come here and read a book, or work on a novel as part of her literature club activities. Miyashiro, Kurusu, and Ito were gone. Okay, so Ito's still gone, and Ito were gone, so Kazuki was always here alone. And she almost never said anything. There was no need to worry about hearing lies. It was the perfect place for Aramura. After the incident, she'd spent several weeks in Akihabara before being allowed to go back to Shibuya. Though allowed wasn't the right word, she'd been dragged back here. She hated it, but even if it meant another fight with her family, there was nothing else she could think of doing. There hadn't been any problems with psychics since then, at least publicly. Sometimes Shinjo would call to check on her, but nothing special was going on. But she'd never expected the case to end the way it had. She saw an unfamiliar expression in the book, so she decided to copy it down into the notebook she kept in the newspaper club. Handwriting was the best way to do this stuff, she thought. There was no class in just typing everything onto a computer. She stood up and looked for it on the steel shelves against the wall. But it wasn't where she thought it would be. She reached out her hand toward the back of the shelf. And the papers that had piled there fell off. Aramura and Kazuki froze when they saw one of them. It was a big map folded many times over. She didn't have to spread it out to know what it was. It was the one the newspaper club had put on the wall when they were going over the case. But there was no need for it anymore. So the first thing Kazuki had done after she'd come back to this room was take it off the wall. Aramura had come back a few weeks later, but she hadn't said a word about it vanishing. No, it would be more accurate to say that she wouldn't.
そういえばさ、セリー、少しだけ光に反応したって目が覚める兆候かもって。
Okay, so Serica, well, it'll be interesting to see her as a normal girl. Like, will she remember them? Or will she be, like, her memories will be all wiped? It was something Shinjo had just told her on the phone. Kazuki turned around to look at her. What will you do? Her face seemed to say. Aramura frowned and scratched her head.
どうもこうも 宮代先輩の希望通りにするだけだよ。
There was nothing else she could do. That was the promise she'd made to him. Kazuki nodded and looked somewhere else. Aramura followed her gaze. She was looking at the chair that Miyashiro used to sit in, and she looked at the one that Serika used to sit in. For what it was worth, Aramura hadn't sat there a single time since she'd started coming here.
じゃあ、伊藤君の方はもう完全に白？
That was Momose's first question after hearing about what had just happened at the hospital.
はい。だいぶ回復してきましたが、本当に思考誘導されていただけのようですね。委員会の情報は持ってないと見ていいでしょう。あと可能性があるのは、尾上と宮代だけなんですが。
この状況じゃね。
Kunasato and Momose both sighed at the same time. Sakuma was dead. They'd gone over everything he owned as well as his body, but learned barely anything. She had found, with the help of her very, very strange acquaintance in Akihabara, that Sakuma had indeed worked at the basement under A.H. Tokyo General Hospital, but nothing else. There was no data left of Sakuma. She hated to admit it, but the committee was good at their work, and fast. Even the police didn't seem to know who he was. That night, 3 months ago, she still didn't know what had happened between Miyashiro, Onoe, and Sakuma back then. But if what she was imagining was correct, especially in light of her final call with Miyashiro, there was a need to question what Serika had told her at Frisia. She talked a lot about the committee, but looking back, there was a good chance it was all a lie used to gain Kunisato's cooperation. As proof, even after she had taken the psychics out of Shibuya, nothing had happened. Her hacker acquaintance had checked his network and hadn't seen anything at all. With no real reason to stay in Akihabara anymore, she'd come back to Shibuya. But while she was gone, all the threads connecting Sakuma to the committee had vanished. Either she'd screwed up, or maybe...
やはり佐久間は末端組織の人間でしかなかったということか。
Which meant they simply gave up on him when he was no longer useful. But there was a lot of equipment that had disappeared from the underground facility. Even if he was the one who'd moved it, someone else had to be in charge of it by now. If she could just find out who that someone was.
あと、たどれる可能性があるとすれば。
Momose looked at Kunasato and tapped her own temples.
ここね。カオスチャイルド症候群。
はい。
That was the one route she still had open to her. It was the piece of evidence she'd chosen to use to get her revenge on the committee. That strange disease that had started showing up in certain victims of the earthquake. Suddenly, her phone began to vibrate in her pocket. She saw the name on the phone and realized it wasn't time for his usual check-in. That meant something had happened.
どうした？
尾上が。
February 2016. She slowly stepped into the hospital room. The room was clean, the air was pure. She nodded, satisfied with that. It was disappointing that no one had brought any flowers, but in light of his condition, there was no helping that. The curtain was closed, so she couldn't see him from here. She walked softly without making a sound. She approached the bed nervously. She put her hand on the curtain, slowly opened it. The person she was looking for was lying there. She sighed in relief, and then brought her face close to his as if giving a kiss to a loved one. She was close enough that her short hair fell on his face. He's fine. Yeah, he's fine, she thought to herself. So, this has got to be... Wait, is this Takeru? Takeru, I would assume, would be in prison at this point, right? Or maybe something happened. They put him basically in like a coma. This could be Ito as well. He'd lost a little weight, but it was still the face of the boy she'd known for years. She then opened the window. Fresh air blew into the room. The weather was great. It was a perfect day to go outside. Okay? What?
速報です。本日午前9時過ぎ、
Oh
ニュージェ
shit.
ネレーションの
Okay,
狂
so
気の
he's in a
最大
prison
と呼ば
hospital.
れる
Okay.
連続殺人事件を引き起こした犯人、宮代拓が収容先の病院から姿を消しました。
And she's supposed to be a normal girl, so she couldn't just use a delusion to, like, have him escape. And the way that it beeped like that almost seemed like he had died or something when she said, let's go.
現場には争ったとみられる警察官の
Oh
遺
shit.
体が残さ
Killed
れ
in
て
a
おり、
struggle. Okay, so Serica, was she created as a normal girl and she still managed to kill a bunch of people?
なお
What?
犯人を病院に収容していた理由ですが、警察はカオスチャイルド症候群者である宮代拓を検査するためと釈明しており、警備体制に問題はなかったと。
Oh shit. Oh, that's it? Okay. That, I was not expecting that ending.
ねえ、タク、叶えられた？やりたいこと。
Okay, guys, that is going to do it for at least the first routes. That was wild. Like, what a crazy revelation that Takaru was kind of behind everything. But it makes sense when you think about it. That thing at the end with him leaving the hospital with Serica and a bunch of guards being killed. The implications on that are not great. So overall, that was really good. But of course, we have a lot of other routes to go. I'm probably only halfway through the actual game, I'd imagine, with all the other routes I have to do. If it's anything like Chaos Head, though, the routes were not super long. So I don't know, I figure maybe another 10 episodes or so I might be able to finish it all, but we'll see. Maybe they're longer and more detailed, but that was good. That was cool. The revelation, the fight at the end, it wrapped up sort of well, but still leaves a lot of questions, which will, I'm sure, be answered in other routes. So that's going to do it for the normal route of Chaos Child. I guess it's a matter of, like, which one are we going to be doing next? Let me see. All right, so it looks like the next route will be the Dark Sky route. So we will be beginning that next episode. So I hope you're looking forward to that. Thank you so much for watching this little bit of a longer episode, and stay tuned next week for the continuation of Chaos Child. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Revealing Storm, Lynn's VA, Kenji Storm, Icognito, Kevlar, Izuzu, Charlie L7, Jesse Pelletier Lemire, and Lucas Gomes.